Canada finalizes its roster for the Four Nations Face-Off. Who was snubbed and who is the tournament favorite? Hey everyone, welcome to Off the Post. Rob Wong, joined alongside by Steve Simmons and Patrick Johnston. And guys, after months of deliberation, Hockey Canada finally announcing the group that will wear the red and white at next year's Four Nations Face-Off. Overall, there is a lot of Stanley Cup pedigree with this roster, with numerous Stanley Cup winners. Steve, what are your overall impressions of the team?
First, you start with the top, and the top is phenomenal. The top is McDavid and McKinnon and Makar. I think 3 of the 5 best players in the world, and that is what makes this team so exciting from the top. When you get to the bottom and you see 3 goalies you may not exactly be excited by, then you see the range of going from best ever to we don't know. And in between, I think there's a lot of questions that need to be answered. Not so much about the defense. I think the defense, they pretty much nailed it in getting the guys they needed to get, especially the 4 that will play more than anybody else. But at forward, we have a lot of players who are very good NHL players. There's a big difference between being a very good NHL player and a very good international player in best on best. And we've seen guys that could do it, and we've seen some who haven't over the years. And so there's a lot of people that we've not seen these guys before. This is a brand new group. Other than Sidney Crosby up front and Pietrangelo in the back, everybody's new. And so is Sam Reinhart able to elevate at the international level? Is Mitch Marner able to elevate at the international level? What happens to those kind of guys? And I think we're going to ask the same questions, not just about Canada, but about the U.S. team and about the Swedish team and about that collection of barking dogs that's playing for Finland, and go from there. But I think they got it mostly right. I don't know what Patrick thinks, but I'll throw it over your way.
I mean, there's always guys that are going to be left out, and we'll come to that in a moment, I'm sure. But on the whole, I agree with you, Steve. Like, the forward group is an impressive group. There's maybe a picker that could quibble there or quibble there. The defense, I kind of go, Colton Parayko, because I see him a lot, and I'm not sure he is what he once was. And you worry about the kind of overthinking and having, his general manager involved. But on the whole, this is a very good team. And, listen, as Steve said, this is a brand new group. It's exciting from that standpoint. I mean, we haven't seen the best Canadian team in so long. It is exciting from that standpoint. The goalies, yeah, but what are you going to do? This is where we're at. That's a whole other topic. As I joked about the other day on social media, I said, remember when we had a goalie summit? That is a topping point that should go on for a long time beyond this. But yeah, it's a good, very good team. I think they're going to play an exciting brand of hockey. John Cooper's a great coach. It's going to be good fun.
I asked a former national team coach what he thought of the lineup. And his line to me was, I don't know how fast they are compared to how fast Team USA is, for example, or how fast Sweden's going to be. And I think that was a concern, not so much the defense, but how fast are the forwards and there's a difference between how fast you skate and how fast you play. And I think that's something you're going to have to learn. In these kind of terms, you got to learn it first shift, second shift, right away. Are you doing it? No, we're moving to somebody else. You don't have time to make mistakes and figure out your lineup. This isn't an 82-game season. This is a week. And you better be able to do it, not just now this year, because this is the test year. It's this year going into the importance of next year's Olympic Games.
That said, when you have one line that's leaning on Connor McDavid and another line that's leaning on Sidney Crosby, I don't think you're too worried about how fast Sidney Crosby plays the game. So it is one we talk about it, we break it down. We've got 2 months to go before this all happens. But this team is incredibly strong, incredibly talented, and I think they're just going to be a lot of fun to watch.
So, Patrick, anytime a best-on-best Canadian team is put together, a lot of the talk is about who was not selected to the squad. Is there one player that you were surprised didn't make the cut?
Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. I mean, obviously, I see him a ton. He is such a talented two-way force. I get, in the end, they went with the hot hand, I guess, in Brandon Hagel, a guy who's playing really well in Tampa. I get it. And Nuge has not put up the points this year. But to me, I look at the overall pedigree, what he's done in his career, what he's been so consistently, night in, night out for a not always great Oilers team, but he has always been there. And he brings the penalty killing. He can play on the wing. He can take big draws as a centerman. I just think he's a guy that I think they may wish they had when push comes to shove.
My heart breaks for Mark Scheifele. And I thought for the first 20 games of this season, the Winnipeg Jets were the best team in the NHL, and he was the best forward on the best team in the NHL. And if they were picking this team supposedly based on how you started your season and all that was going on, I thought they had to find a place for Mark Scheifele ahead of Jarvis, ahead of somebody else, ahead of Hagel, ahead of whomever. Because what more could he have done to get in there? And I hate the word snub, because these are all great players. We could probably give you 10 more who aren't on the team also. These are great hockey players. You can only pick, the number you can pick. And so someone's always going to be left behind. And I don't think it's a slight on Mark Scheifele, although I asked the coach yesterday, why do you think Scheifele was left off? And he says, well, they don't want guys who are difficult. Now, I don't know Mark Scheifele personally very well, and I don't cover the Winnipeg Jets very often, so I don't know what he's like in the dressing room or what he's like around the group. But the impression I got from the coach is maybe you don't want someone who potentially, can't check his ego at the door.
I would suggest that may be part of the reason why Logan Thompson was left off the list. I think there was a difficulty there in Vegas, and I think that staff, they just said, you know what, let's go a different route. The goaltending obviously is weak. Thompson might have made things different, but that's my impression. Steve, I'm actually curious. Would you have picked Evan Bouchard? I kind of went back and forth on this. I loved how he played in the playoffs last year. To me, he is the kind of guy that would add something to the team. I get, like you said, I get why they've structured the defense the way they did.
When the playoffs ended, I would have bet good money that Evan Bouchard, Zach Hyman, and Wyatt Johnston would all be on Team Canada. And they've all not had great seasons, especially Hyman and Wyatt Johnston. So they were sort of pushed to the side and not really considered that deeply, I don't think. Evan Bouchard becomes, his great strength is power play. But you've got Cale Makar. So why do you need two guys who can play the power play if you don't want him to play a regular shift? And I wrote this about a month or so ago, that the sneaky name that everybody's talking about is Travis Sanheim of the Philadelphia Flyers. And watch out for that guy, because every scout that comes through Toronto and every GM that keeps saying, I just saw Philly last night, and boy, this guy's impressive. Yeah. I wrote that about a month and a half ago, that he would probably be there and Bouchard would not. And you would have thought that I had assaulted children. The way, you are dumb, you are stupid, you should be fired. How do you get your job? Well, Guess what? Here we are, December the 8th, or whatever day today is, December 5th.
5th.
And I'm getting ahead of myself.
Calm down.
Whatever day it happens to be, I'd love to write back to every person who wrote me. Here is the roster, not picked by me, picked by
Big Circle,
the experts. They don't have Evan Bouchard and Travis Sanheim, who I think is ahead of Colton Parayko, by the way, in the six-man rotation.
He should be.
Will be interesting to see. And what's interesting, the Philadelphia Flyers, who are not a very good hockey team, they've got two guys on Team Canada. Some pretty good teams don't have any.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And for the Toronto viewers, I will also throw out John Tavares, who might have gotten snubbed here. He's been a Team Canada mainstay since he was a teenager, and even spent his summer playing at the World Championships this past year. So this is a guy I'm sure is pretty disappointed. Lastly, Steve, Canada will always be a favorite in any hockey tournament, but are they going to be the favorites in this one?
They don't have the best roster here. I think the USA has the best roster. I think the USA has the most talented roster. Starting in goal with three goalies who are better than any of the Canadian goalies. And I'm going to give you a million reasons why the USA should be favored to win. But as you see, I'm wearing red today. And it was completely accidental because I didn't know this question was coming. And I'm wearing red today. And so while wearing red, I will pick Canada to beat the United States and Sweden in this tournament because it's a stupid reason. Because they're Canadian. And this is what we do, and this is what we care about, and this is how much it matters. And they've all been through that, the World Juniors and all these things. They realize the entire country freezes when international hockey is played. And I think you'll see guys raise their levels, to levels we've never seen before. And I'm looking forward to watching John Cooper, the coach, because John Cooper's been waiting to coach at Team Canada level at an Olympics or at a tournament like this for a very long time. And now he's getting that opportunity. I think he might be the best coach in the NHL. And here he's got, 3 of the best players of all time on his team. That's going to be exciting to watch. I
can't say any more than that. I think that last point is exactly it. You have the best coach and possibly still the 3 best players in the NHL on the on Team Canada. Pardon me. I think in the end, Canada's a lot closer to the Americans than we're giving them credit for. But the way the Canadians want to play, and I think there is something to prove. There's enough new excitement in this team that I think there's something to prove here.
As you guys said, still a lot to talk about over the next couple of months here before they actually drop the puck for the Four Nations face-off. Let us know what you think in the comments section below. For Patrick Johnston, Steve Simmons, I'm Rob Wong. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you next time.